So for the camera, welcome everyone. Because we have had a little bit of, recording on or off, cameras, microphones on or off. So the invitation is for you to get comfortable tonight, to start lying on your back. We will work our way up to something a little bit more strenuous. But to begin with, you can start on your back, your choice whether your knees are bent or whether you choose to take a full Shavasana pose. Consider the temperature of the room. We don't want to start and allow the body to get too cold. So chuck a blanket over you if you think you might need to. We're not going to be here for long, but just sort of be aware that we don't want to start with an old creaky cold body. So most of you, when you're lying down, I can't see you. So follow the sound of my words and we should all be fine. So take a few moments in this comfortable position. And actually the reason why I want to start here tonight is because I'm always very mindful that this class is the middle of the week. And most of us have that tendency, getting to the middle of the week, everything's full steam ahead. So try to remind yourself that you have gifted yourself this hour for yourself, for your mental health, for your physical health, for your emotional well-being. So now is the time to push your to-do list to one side, to bring your full awareness to the body. Let's honour the body in all of her splendour. We all have parts of the body that we wish were a little different. Particularly through ageing, some of us feel frustrated with the parts of the body that don't work the same way as they used to. But take a moment here to just appreciate how awesome your body is, how well your body serves you, how well it looks after you. And if you lean into it, creates the perfect space for self-healing, for self-love, for self-awareness. Have an awareness of how you hold your body. Notice the exact shape your body makes against the floor. Notice those little quirky points. Perhaps you hold one shoulder a little higher than the other. You might think one hip feels a little tighter than the other. If you need to, make adjustments here so that you can allow the body to become quiet. You can begin to bring your focus to the breath. Notice the breath from the tip of the nose along the nasal passages. Follow the journey of your breath with no force, just allowing your breath to reach those quieter parts of the body that might be asking for a little extra attention at this time. Notice the pace of your breath. Notice the depth of your breath. As we give ourselves permission to slow down, to switch off, to make space. You might notice the breath becomes more expansive, With every inhalation, widening and expanding to fill the space that surrounds you. With every exhalation, coming to the end of each full breath. The inhale, charging your body with positive energy. The exhale, releasing any tension, letting go of any negative energy. Remain tuned in to this awareness of how you hold your body. Taking your time to scan the body from head to toe. Allowing your awareness to rest to any part of the body that may need a little extra healing at this time. Visualize sending the breath to any pain in the body. Sending the breath to any tightness in the body. Sending the breath to areas you know you typically hold onto tension. Work through the breath here. Allow your exhales to become a little noisier. And feel yourself letting go of that tension. Letting go of any tightness. Releasing any pain from your body. Notice again the pace of your breath. Tune into the sound of your breath. The sound of your breath is the sound closest to you. Tune out any distraction, any background noise. For a moment, tune out the sound of my voice and listen to your breath. Now, to prepare us for the work of our practice this evening, start to bring awareness back to the physical body, returning sensation by wiggling fingers and toes, wiggling the jaw and the nose. If you've started with your legs extended in full Shavasana, take a moment to slide the feet in, bending the knees, and for comfortable, position the feet as wide as your mat width distance apart, so a little bit wider than hip width distance. Let's rearrange the arms now. Take the arms out almost to make a T shape, creating a straight line from fingertip to fingertip through the shoulders, palms turned up towards the ceiling. Not unusual here to feel a little tightness across the chest, a little resistance in the shoulder blades. So again, take a moment to adjust here, coming to rest onto the flats of the shoulder blades. On your next out breath, gently roll both knees over to the right side. Roll the head over to the left side. No big movement here, just allowing gravity to draw the knees towards the floor. Allowing that left ear to ease parallel to the mat. Take a deep breath in, expanding through the chest, through the collarbones. As you exhale, engage the core, roll the knees through center. We'll take the knees over towards the opposite side, this time turning the head to the right. Again, we're just hanging here for a moment. If you feel tight around the outside edge of the hips, you might feel a little exposed here. You can draw the knees a little closer to center if you feel that's more comfortable for you, or you can allow yourself to fully release with gravity. Inhaling again to expand and widen through the chest. Exhaling to engage the core, rolling the knees back again through center. Let's keep the knees wide and we'll hug the knees almost as if we're drawing them towards the armpits. So we're creating space between the thighs, applying a little pressure either to the backs of the thighs or to the shins. Then gently rocking through the lower back, taking that gentle roll from one side to the other, easing any tension for the lower back here. Roll again back towards center. Keep that left knee bent as you take hold of either the right big toe or the ankle. Start to extend the right heel up towards the ceiling. Again, a little bit of a bend in the knee as you draw the knee towards the armpit. So we're just extending that gentle stretch over the back of the piriformis. Then release the pressure as you fold that right knee back in again. We'll ease over to extend and lengthen through the left leg. So we're keeping that bend in the left knee, almost as if you're drawing the knee towards the armpit. This creates a little extra stretch to the back of the left hip. Rather than returning to center, let's bring that right foot back in again. So both knees drawing towards the armpits, hands either holding big toes or ankles. As you apply that little bit of pressure, you can feel that deepening stretch over the lower back. And then allow a little momentum as you gently roll from one side to the other. Holding the ankles, holding the toes. Returning once more to center, repositioning the hands onto the knees, keeping that nice width between the knees as you draw circles with the knees, almost as though you're stirring the top of the thigh bone into the hip joint. Then changing direction, taking those circles the opposite way. So rather than feeling as though we're working into the hip joints here, we can feel that widening in the lower back, that release in the inner thighs. Then draw both knees towards one another. With the knees a little bit closer, draw the knees towards the chest. Again, applying a little pressure either on the shins or the knees, rolling the middle back towards the floor. Let's take the hands away from the shins. Return again to that T-shape position. On the out breath, roll the knees to the right. Taking your time, there's a little bit more weight having the knees together, and it also creates a little more resistance through the side of the rib cage. The left shoulder might pop up. On the out breath, turn your gaze over the left shoulder, breathing that shoulder towards the floor, and focus your breath on creating space in and around that left pectoral muscle. So into the armpit, over the front of the chest, into the side of the rib cage. On an inhalation, feel that expansion from fingertip to fingertip. On an exhalation, engage the core, roll the knees through center, and take the knees over to the opposite side. So again, this feels like a bigger movement, a little bit more resistance again through the side of the body. That right shoulder needs reminding to release to the floor. Turning the head to look along the length of the right arm might just help with that. Again, we're working with the breath to open into the space at the side of the chest, into the underarm, to the side of the hip. Then as you exhale, engage the core, roll both knees back again towards center. Let's cross the feet over at the ankles. So this is a funny one for me to describe, but the intention is that the feet are crossed at the ankles, the knees are rolled out. That creates a little bit of space for you to thread the hands through and take hold of the back of the ankles. Try to keep your head on the floor as you draw the ankles back towards the chest. You might notice that lifts the lower back or the back of the sacrum from the floor. And again, it just gives that little bit more space into the sacrum and the lower back. Release the ankles. Hug both knees again in towards the chest. Then replace both feet to the floor. This time we want the heels to be positioned hip-width distance apart, so we're allowing a little gap between the thighs, but not quite as excessive as when we started. Bring the hands either side of the hips, palms turned up towards the ceiling, drawing the shoulder blades together to create a nice, firm, stable foundation. Pushing down into the soles of the feet, lifting the bottom from the floor, keeping the knees tracking in line with the hips as you press the shins forward, lift the thighs higher, and just focus on allowing a little open, a little release through the front of the hip flexors. Try to keep the bottom lifted as you isolate the right foot, peeling the right heel from the floor. So you're coming up onto the ball of the right foot, keeping the left foot fully connected to the mat. Then squeeze that right heel to the floor, lift the left heel, push again into the ball of the foot, lift the thighs a little higher. Squeeze that heel to the floor. This time clench the buttocks together, so feel that work happening into the buttocks, down the back of the thighs, into the inner thighs. Push down into the balls of both feet, lifting the heels from the floor, pressing the shins forward. Try not to take your weight onto the neck, remain flat through the shoulder blades. Then as you exhale, release both heels. Inhale to lift the arms overhead. If you have full mobility in your shoulders, let's aim to rest the back of the palms to the floor. If that causes you discomfort, take the arms wide, keeping the palms turned up towards the ceiling. So the heels are again flat to the floor, the collarbones are wide. As you exhale, start at the space between the shoulder blades and start to roll down through the spine, vertebra by vertebra. Remember that natural lift in the lower back as you ease the back of the sacrum to the floor, a little resistance there at the side of the rib cage. Then on and out breath, hug both knees again in towards the chest. Easing into that little child's pose, not child's pose, baby pose, rocking from one side to the other. We're now going to take the left foot on the floor, keeping the left knee bent, popping the right ankle on top of the left thigh. So my preference at this point is always to roll that right knee to line up with the nose. So we're just starting a little stretch to the outside of the right hip. Let's get rid of the hands. We don't need them to hold the legs. Inhale to widen through the chest. As you exhale, draw the tummy button in. On the next exhalation, lift the left foot from the floor and start to squeeze that knee in towards the chest. So we're coming into this bigger stretch to the side of the hip, into the right side of the buttock. And you can work with your own sense of gravity to draw the knee closer, deepening that stretch. On an out breath, replace that left foot to the floor. We'll keep the right foot crossed over. As we gently lift the bottom from the mat, shuffle the hips over to the right side, then bring that right knee all the way over to the left side. Much more intense stretch around the right hip, the outside edge of the right thigh. If it helps, you can turn the head over the right arm, just to keep that sense of equal weight through the shoulders. As you exhale, engage the core, roll the knees back again to center. Unhook that right foot. We'll need a minute here to bring the hips back to be square with the shoulders, heels in line with the hips. Keeping the right knee bent now as you bring the left foot up and over. Rolling that left knee in, again aligning with the chest or with the nose. Inhaling to create that line through the body. As you exhale, pick that right knee up, squeeze the knee in towards the chest. Starting that deeper stretch into the outside edge of the buttock. Easing, starting into the hamstring. Then replacing that right foot to the floor. Keeping your position as you shuffle the bottom over to the left. Then we're bringing that left knee over the midline of the body. It helps to take the head over the left side, just so that you can encourage that full twist through the body. The left knee heavy, the outside edge of the hip into the buttock, receiving a little deeper, more intense stretch. An inhalation to focus on widening through the front of the body. An exhalation, engaging the core, rolling the knees back again to center. Unhooking that left foot, repositioning the hips in a straight line. Then hugging both knees again in towards the chest. My preference to finish off here is to draw the knees in a little figure of 8. So rather than just rocking from one side to the other, we're creating little massaging action into the lower back. Now we'll replace the feet to the floor. And I want to continue on that theme of opening through the side of the body by isolating into the side of the pectoral muscles again. So for ease, I'm going to suggest that we all roll to the right side, because that way I can see you first. So knees remain bent, the right arm is extended. Let me just shuffle a little further back and you can see. Right arm is extended forward. Left arm will just come to rest on top of right. So the palms are one on top of the other, resting on the floor, and the knees remain bent. One never quite knows what to do with one's head in this position, so either plop it on the floor or gently support it if you prefer. On the next inhalation, lift that left arm up, and we're just going to come halfway up. So we're coming to the point where the arm is perpendicular from the shoulder up towards the ceiling. Now on the out breath, we want to start to take that left arm behind. There comes a point where your body wants to follow the arm, resist it for as long as you can. The intention is to bring the arm until the fingertips can touch the floor, but we're keeping the shoulders stacked one top of the other so that we've got that deeper stretch into the side of the chest, into the underarm. Lovely. As you exhale, engage the core. As you inhale, lift that arm up and over. We're bringing all the way back. So again, we're creating one hand on top of the other. We're keeping those knees bent. The rules here, guys, are that you're not allowed to use your arms, that you're not really allowed to use your legs. You want to engage the core and roll all the way over so that you make the same shape on the other side. Easier said than done, but life would be boring if we didn't have challenges. So again, we're starting in that kind of, it's almost like a fetal position, isn't it? So the knees are bent, the left arm is extended, right arm on top. We'll start bringing the right wrist perpendicular to the shoulder. So we're beginning here a 90-degree angle. Then working with the breath to slowly ease that right arm back. Try not to drop the shoulders back. Try to keep them stacked one on top of the other as you float the fingertips of the right hand towards the floor behind you. Opening through the chest. Beautiful. You can also feel the hard work under the shoulder blades, all that stabilizing happening. As you exhale, engage the core. As you inhale, lift that top arm up and over. Again, that little challenge of not using the legs or the arms, using the core control to bring you back to center, hugging the knees again towards the chest. Then last sequence on the floor. We'll remain lying on our backs with knees bent. We'll take the hands for a moment either side of the hips. First action, engage the core, lift both feet from the mat, bring the knees to a 90-degree angle. So we're coming into our dead fly pose. Knees over hips, heels in line with knees, toes up towards the ceiling. So remember that in this posture, we're in a static contraction and we can make it more or less challenging depending on the angle that we put on by pushing the feet further away. That intensifies the work in the core, or drawing the knees a little closer if required to protect the lower back. Try if you can not to drop the heels, try to keep the heels in line with the knees. Then on the next exhalation, draw the tummy button in. On the inhalation, float the arms up to make the other legs of the table, if you will. So palms are facing in towards one another, thumbs towards the back of the room. You can see that your hands are about shoulder width distance apart. That static contraction is becoming a little more challenging now. Work with the breath. As you exhale, draw the tummy button in. As you inhale, visualize just taking up space, widening and expanding through the chest, sinking the flats of the shoulder blades into the floor, sinking the back of the sacrum into the mat. Let's keep those knees hip width apart. Beautiful. If the jelly beans have started in the tummy, you're doing it right. Try to avoid the feet clinging towards one another. Keep that hip width distance good. Keep the toes pointing up so everything's active, switched on, beautiful. On the next exhalation, start to slide the arms back. We'll pause with the arms diagonal to the floor, so just above shoulder height. Wide through the chest, engaged in the core. Then on the next exhalation, take the arms all the way back, resting the thumbs an inch from the mat, lengthening through fingertips, 90-degree angle at the knees. Every out breath drawing the tummy button in. Beautiful work. We're going to hold the posture, not the breath, for a further 4, 3, 2, 2.5. That was wrong, that should have been 1.5. Let's call it 1. And on the exhale, hug the knees in towards the chest. Release the lower back. Oh, my tummy's wobbling now. That's quite a nice feeling. Hands behind the thighs. Keep the faith as you exhale, engage the core. Roll yourself up. Rather than coming all the way up, we're just perching on the sit bones, hands behind the thighs. Just taking a moment in this supported boat pose. It's easy when you've got your hands behind your thighs. A little bit harder when you take your hands away. Just for a moment, watch that curve in the upper spine. Think about lifting through the sternum, drawing the tummy button in towards the spine. Beautiful. Then to release, bring the soles of the feet together, turn the knees out, because it's your hip flexors that will be feeling the tension now. By the way, Matt's turned the heating on. It's like a blooming sauna in here now. Bikram yoga for free. Let's have a gentle hold of the ankles, just so that we've got a little bit of focus. Remember that we're not pulling on the ankles, we're just gently resting the hands. Inhaling to lift the sternum, then as you exhale, start to draw the sternum forward. So I think that my shoulders jumped up there. That wasn't a very nice demonstration. So we're leading from the sternum, not the shoulders. Keep drawing the shoulder blades together. Just notice if your chin's taking over here. Sometimes when you push forward with the chin, it's a very gentle action. Easing into the inner thighs, lovely. As you exhale, engage the core. As you inhale, lift back up to center. That lovely lengthened lift so we're not curving the spine. We'll take the feet wide. This is a nice one for the sciatica that we talked about earlier. So we're lifting out of the tailbone. We're avoiding rolling under. So lift, lift, lift and lengthen. Then as you exhale, just start to bring the palms towards the floor. It might just be fingertips. We might be, with every out breath, just walking the fingertips a little further forward. Ultimately, we want to get to an extended forward fold where we can get the palms comfortably to the floor, but we keep that diagonal line from the back of the head to the tailbone. So again, just be mindful of that curvature in the upper back. If you can see yourself on your screen, just check in with that shape. That's it, lifting the sternum. I like to ease the elbows towards the floor when I'm taking it a little deeper. You're like, yeah, that's good for you. I don't. I like to eat fish and chips on a Wednesday night, but here I am. Then as you exhale, engage the core. Push into the palms. Keep that core engagement as you gently walk back to center. Beautiful. Is anyone feeling twinges in the lower back? No, we all good? Okay. Oh yeah, okay, I can see that. I could just see a little bit, there was a couple of like oohs as we sat back up there. We'll be gentle. So let's change the shape now. We're going to come onto an all fours position. So we can switch off all that stretching on the inner thigh. I'm going to rearrange my mat so that I'm not quite so close to the boiling, searing radiator. And come into an all fours position. Beautiful. So just in case anyone's, sometimes when we have that technique of that forward fold, it can put a little bit of a tension into the lower back. So let's create that nice flat table shape here. So you've got a straight line going from the back of the head to the tailbone. And the inhalation, you're thinking about widening through the collarbones, softening the elbows. On the exhalation, drawing the tummy button up towards the spine, pushing the sit bones towards the back of the room. So I've just lost about 2 inches off my belly just by having proper posture. Turn both toes under. Press a little gently into those toes to open out the soles of the feet. Keep that engagement in the core. Then inhale to lift the sternum forward, lifting your gaze. Exhale, keep drawing the tummy button in, tucking the tailbone under, nodding the chin towards the chest, trying to send that stretch down to the lower back rather than that easy space between the shoulder blades. So pushing the stretch into the lower back. As you inhale, give the toes a break, rest onto the tops of the feet, lift the sternum forward, open the gaze ahead. Then exhale, turn the toes under, repeating that roll up through the spine, lifting from the lower back, tucking the tailbone under, nodding the chin to the chest. Try not to lock out the arms here, elbows should be soft. Then return once more, all fours position, resting on the tops of the feet, walking the hands forward, pressing the palms into the mat, trying to avoid making all the pressure in the wrist, so spread through the fingertips. Keep the elbows soft, then as you exhale, push the sit bones towards the heels, create a diagonal line from the wrist to the shoulder, bringing the ears down between the upper arms. Every out breath, pushing a little deeper, coming into that space at the side of the rib cage, opening into the underarms. Lifting the fingertips to change the emphasis of this stretch. You might find you can deepen a little bit further into sitting back. Then lowering the elbows to the floor, sliding the chest forward. Slide the thighs back. Let's keep the shoulder blades drawn together. Let the belly release towards the mat. Draw the shoulder blades together, lift the sternum. Inhale to lift the head. So we don't need to look up, we can look straight ahead, keeping the shoulders relaxed back and down. As you exhale, turn to look over the right shoulder. As you inhale, look ahead. As you exhale, look over the left shoulder. Inhale again to look ahead. Lower the chest, the shoulders to the floor. Keep the left forearm on the mat, so elbows still gently to the side of the shoulder. Draw the right heel in. Use the right hand to take hold of the right ankle. Make sure that you've not twisted your shoulders and your hips. So hips and shoulders square to the floor. Gently press both thighs into the mat. Push into the left forearm. Inhale to lift the chest. Quite a tricky stretch here into the front of the thigh, into that right hip flexor. Don't overdo it in the lower back. Let the stretch happen in the thigh, not in lifting the chest. As you exhale, release the right foot to the floor. Bring the right forearm forward, draw the left heel in. So again, taking hold of either the hem of the leggings or the ankle if you can reach. Pushing once more into both thighs. Inhaling to lift the chest gives you a focus. If it puts tension in your lower back, then lower the shoulders, lower the head a little. Focus more on pressing that left thigh into the floor, opening into that stretch. Then on the out breath, replace that foot to the floor. You can either repeat the Sphinx pose, where we keep the forearms on the floor, the elbows tucked either side of the chest, or you can reposition the hands either side of the chest. Draw the elbows in, push into the thighs, inhale to lift the chest, For those of us who have a little bit more mobility in the spine, it's quite nice to get this opening through the upper chest. Then as you exhale, engage the core, transition back into a lovely long child's pose again. Lift back up again into that all fours position. Knees once more under hips, wrists under shoulders, elbows once more allowed to release. Simply take the right foot back, turn the toe under, press the heel towards the floor. By the end of tonight, we will have stretched every muscle in the leg. So we're easing that right heel towards the floor, bringing that knee back under the hip, taking the left foot back. Just be mindful when you lift and extend the left foot back that you don't take your weight onto the right knee. Reset the hips and the shoulders parallel to the floor, pressing the heel to the mat. Beautiful. You always find one side gives you a little bit more pleasure than the other. We'll bring that knee in. We want to make sure that the wrists are underneath the shoulders. So it might be easier for you to travel forward to find that position, keeping the elbows soft, taking both feet back, turning the toes under, coming into a plank pose here. We're looking for a diagonal line from the back of the head all the way to the heels. So we shouldn't see heavy heads, we shouldn't be saggy, we shouldn't see bottoms in the air. Let's find thighs parallel to the mat, collarbones wide. Your choice whether you prefer chaturanga or to lower down onto knees. Oops, stuck to my mat there. Chest, chin, elbows in, bottoms up. Inhale to lift the chest and exhale, easing back once more into that lovely long child's pose. I want to give the shoulders a rest, so bring the wrists either side of the ankles. Let the weight of your head release forward. Gently roll through the forehead, releasing the back of the neck. Then when you're ready, come back up into that all fours position. Resetting knees under hips. Again, we're going to take the wrists a little further forward, spreading through the fingertips so we're not overloading the wrists. Turning both toes under, pushing the sit bones back, lifting the knees, pressing the thighs back, lifting the tailbone, coming into a downward facing dog position. For those of you who prefer to take the dolphin pose, simply lowering the elbows to the floor, resting on the forearms, and creating that length again from the back of the head to the tailbone, breathing and releasing down through the backs of the legs, easing the heels to the mat. You might prefer to paddle through the feet, bending one knee then the other. Lift the tailbone, one full lengthen. Exhale, press the heels to the floor, push the sit bones to the back of the room. Then on the out breath, bend the knees, sit back on the heels. Rest the arms. I'm going to wrap one hand around the opposite elbow and just bring the forehead to rest on top of those stacked forearms. Again, if you were watching the screen while we were doing the downward facing dog, you might have to just release the back of the neck. Take any tension away. Beautiful. Then bring yourself back up. For a moment, we're in hero pose. Don't worry, I won't keep you there. I just want to do one last little sequence with the length of the legs. So we're going to come into Malasana, or garland pose. So we all approach this differently. My version is to have the heels down, the knees bent, almost as though we're squatting into the space. I recognise that heels down is not for everyone. I always say that I'm a bit of a hobbit. It must have something to do with the length of your legs. It must have. I guess if you've got longer thighs, you can't quite get your heels down. I don't know. It's comfortable for me. Suits me, sir. So I'm going to come on to having the heels up because I think most people are in that zone. Beautiful. Bringing the hands to an Anjali Mudra. So it's a little bit different when you've kind of got to hold your balance now. Yeah. Now we're sorting out the wood for the trees. Because those of us that can get our heels down, we don't fall over. Beautiful. Keep the core engaged, keep the heels up. So the heels aren't going down, okay? The heels are staying up as you push down into the soles of the feet and you come all the way up. Then you can put the heels down. Brilliant. Good effort. You all did it smiling, even though a couple of people fell over. You were still smiling, so that's the main thing. So in a standing position now, one little set of standing stuff and then I will let you lie down again. We're going to take the left foot behind the right foot, so we're stepping behind. Try to make sure that you've not, and I'm exaggerating, but you've not kind of rolled onto that edge of the foot. So keep the foot solid to the floor. I can't think my rights from my lefts now. Your right hand to your right hip, lengthen through your left arm, then lift and ease over. So you're getting that lovely stretch here, but you're also deepening into that space that we've been creating through the side of the hip. Make sure your hips and shoulders are facing forward, that you're square. And don't sing the lyrics of I'm a Little Teapot, because that will just put you off. Then inhale, lift. Let's step that foot behind. We'll take the opposite foot. Beautiful. Oh, some very balletic movements going on here. I do like a hand on the hip. Lengthen and then ease over. Keep lengthening, lifting, lifting, lifting from the waist, not from the rib cage. Support your neck. Then inhale to lift. Come back to center. Beautiful. Step both feet next to one another. So you might have noticed that one side was a little bit easier or it felt a little bit longer than the other. So oftentimes that suggests that it's actually the back of the hips that are a little bit out of alignment. It's not unusual that we hold one hip a little higher. So I'm going to go side on. From here, we're in mountain pose from the hips down. So the heels are hip width apart, the knees are soft. Pop the hands on the hips. Keep pressing down into the soles of the feet. Again, rolling that tendency, avoiding that tendency to roll to the edge of the feet. As you exhale, start to come into a 90-degree hinge. And the intention is that we keep the shoulders in line with the hips, that we press the sit bones towards the back of the room. Very similar to the downward facing dog, but a little bit more exposing now. We're lifting the tailbone, and that will really intensify that stretch to the back of the hamstrings for those of us who are tight. Some of you are very flexible in the hamstrings. Just take a moment to slacken the knees off. I can see there's a little bit of, that's it. Lift the tailbone. Imagine I'm there with that strap and I'm pushing the thighs back. So that's the action. That's what we're getting into the back of the thighs with. Wrap the hands around the elbows. We did this in the down dog, in the child's pose. Then we're exhaling to bring the forearms parallel to the floor. Try to be mindful of that diagonal line from the back of the head to the tailbone. If, like me, you need a little more slack in the knees, take it. Bringing the belly towards the thighs, keep sinking the forearms towards the floor. Tuck the chin under. Just let yourself hang for a moment. Feel how deeply gorgeous that is in the lower back. I always feel, I just want to gently sway from one side to the other here. Almost like a pendulum action. Then we'll take the hands off of the elbows, place the fingertips to the floor. A big breath out now to bring the palms fully to the mat, keeping that chin gently tucked under. For those of us who've got the knees bent, try lifting the tailbone, but it will be really tight on the hamstrings. Now keep the palms on the floor. Take the bend in the knees a little bit deeper. Draw the shoulder blades together. Lift the fingertips from the floor. Take the arms wide to make a T shape. So make sure that your fingertips are as high as the shoulders, shoulder blades drawn together. Take a deep breath in. As you exhale, draw the tummy button in. As you inhale, push into the soles of the feet. Keep looking down as you lift the upper body. On the next inhalation, lift both arms overhead. Avoid shooting the hips forward, you know who you are. Thighs pressed back, tailbone tucked under. Inhale to lift through the sternum. Exhale to ease back. So we're opening gently into the space in the upper back. Then as you exhale, engage the core. Return the hands to an Anjali Mudra. Beautiful. It may help you to take the feet a little wider. You might prefer to rest your hands by your side. And I'm just going to invite you to close your eyes. So keep the knees nice and soft. You can feel the weight of your hands by your side. If it doesn't make you feel dizzy, eyes closed. Otherwise, find a point on the floor where you can focus. And once more, tune into the breath. So some of the work that we've done this evening has been quite heating. It's also been a little bit more active. So you might notice that your breath has come back into that upper chest. So let's slow the breath down. Following the breath from the tip of the nose along the nasal passages. I want you to visualize breathing out down through the length of the arms, all the way to the fingertips. Another deep breath in. Full exhalation, this time down, out through the soles of the feet. So keep a track of that deep and lengthened breath. Every exhalation, drawing the tummy button in, keeping that core engagement. Every inhalation, re-lengthening. Just allow the breath to flow. Bringing your awareness to your fingers. A little rippling action with the fingers. Wiggling all the finger joints. Check in that the knees remain soft. And then start to rotate the wrists, drawing 3 circles in towards the body. Then changing direction, taking 3 circles away from the body. Let the wrists and the hands become heavy by your side again. Tune in once more to the breath. On the next inhalation, shrug the shoulders up towards the ears. On the exhalation, slowly release the shoulders, drawing the shoulder blades together, widening through the chest. Inhale to lift the shoulders, broadening through the back. Exhaling, widening through the chest, engaging the core. One more time to breathe the shoulders up. To exhale the shoulders down and away. Once more relaxing, lengthening the weight of the arms. On the next inhalation, turn your head to look over the right shoulder. I say look, I mean notionally. The underside of the chin parallel to that shoulder. Then as you exhale, gently lower the chin towards the shoulder. Take a deep breath in, and on the out breath, trace the line of the collarbone. So we're traveling from right shoulder to left. Raising the head again. Resting the underside of the chin parallel to the shoulder. Taking a deep breath in to widen through the chest. As you exhale, return the head to center. On an inhalation, visualize that expansion once more through the collarbones, lifting through the ribcage. On the out breath, engage the core, not the chin towards the chest, just allowing the weight of the head to release the tension in the back of the neck. On the next inhalation, return the head again, visualizing the skull floating above the spine. So for some of us, that almost feels as though the back of the head is pulling back in line with the heels. Reset the underside of the chin parallel to the floor, the top of the head parallel to the ceiling. Tune in once more to the breath. Feel your connection with the earth. Feel the weight of your feet into the floor. Notice that sense of softness around the hips and the buttocks. You can feel the weight of your arms, your shoulders soft. Your torso remains upright, lengthened. Your head feels light as a feather. As you take a deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. A deep breath in through the nose. Let that out breath become a little noisier. Further deep breath in. Noisy breath out. One further full deep inhalation. Releasing the breath now with an audible sigh. Aware again of that light skull floating above the spine. Taking a moment to blink the eyes open. Now bring your hands to an Anjali Mudra. Touch to the head for kind thoughts, to the lips for kind words, to the heart for kind intentions. The light in me honours the light in you. Namaste. So for those of you who were feeling a little bit upskittled with the wind, I think you'll find that you feel a little bit more grounded now.